All right, everybody. It's almost time. Super Bowl 57 week starts right now, right here on A2D Radio.
Oh my God! I'm embarrassed! He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
All right, everybody. It's Monday night. Welcome to the Sports Hounds, exclusively on A2DRadio.com. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. We are the Sports Hounds. Like I said, exclusively on A2DRadio.com. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Periscope. If you miss anything here on A2D Radio throughout Super Bowl week, download us wherever you get your podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. Tonight we're brought to you by Baguio Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. The best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. Great place. They'll get you hooked up for the big game on Sunday. Any other festivities? We're going to have a lot going on. Baseball season coming. NBA trade deadline. We're going to talk about that. Crazy trade in the NBA. Trade deadline Thursday in the NBA. Rumors are flying. We'll talk about that. But we're talking about the Super Bowl. 57. Both teams are there. Some type of media events going on tonight. I don't really care. You shouldn't be watching that. You should be watching us here on A2DRadio.com. Our Super Bowl talk tonight brought to you by Creative Window Design, serving Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Florida, fully authorized, Hunter Douglas dealer. Contact Jeff 609-226-0391 for a free consultation, I should say. Whew. Now we can start. Now we can dive into the meat and potatoes. I thought we were a Philly-based show for the most part. I got my Sixers hat on. We got the Eagles banner. We got the signed Westbrook poster right beside me. But, you know, we're going to eagle this thing to death. Radio. So, since it's not going to take that long to discuss some of the Chiefs' advantages over the Philadelphia Eagles, I figured we would start with the Chiefs. So our poll question tonight brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. Our doc, make them yours too, Dr. Paul Vidal. 2 convenient locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill. Like I said, he's our doc. Make him yours too. So, Brad, our poll question tonight, Patrick Mahomes will win the Super Bowl MVP. I'll kick it to you first.
I would say win or lose, I think he is going to win the Super Bowl MVP because he is going to be in the middle of everything as far as the Chiefs are concerned. The Chiefs are a lot more one-dimensional than the Eagles, for sure. He is going to be 95% of the Chiefs' offense. You're going to get a little of Pacheco and then a lot of Patrick Mahomes trying to hit his find open receivers in the secondary. I think the Chiefs are going to score a lot of points, regardless of what people think about the Eagles' defense. The Chiefs are an offensive juggernaut. They scored 496 points this year, which is by far the highest scoring total in the NFL. They also gave up 369 points, which is a lot of points. So they may give up some points as well. I think that the Chiefs have a couple of good pass rushers. They don't have 4 like the Eagles do, but they do have a couple. They have very good corners, and I think their secondary is very quick. It's not experienced like the Eagles, but it's quick. Those guys can run, and I think they've been playing better as the season goes along. And I think the Eagles are going to end up winning the game, I do think the Chiefs are going to be very, very competitive, and it would not be. And the Eagles are not a mortal lock to win this game by any stretch of the imagination. And I would hope for all you Eagle fans out there, for your sake, that the Eagle players don't think that they're a mortal lock to win. And I'm sure Soriani is not going to allow the Eagle players to think that at all.
No, not at all. Because Nick Sirianni, he's the coach of the year. He didn't get nominated for coach of the year, but he's the coach of the year. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what any stupid experts that don't know anything about football have to say. Nick Sirianni's been the coach of the year. And you're damn right. He's not going to let the Eagles get confident and over cocky. Neither is their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who not only is he one of the best quarterbacks in the league out of nowhere, I certainly didn't see it coming. Make fun of me all you want. I'll eat crow on that all day long. I'm glad he proved me wrong. So he's an MVP candidate. He has leadership skills out the wazoo. We always talk about Carson, our old quarterback, how he's got all this talent, but he's got zero it factor. Jalen's got both. He's got a bunch of intangibles and a bunch of pure God-given skills. So Patrick Mahomes is not going to win the MVP because I'm not a player. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni don't have any jurisdiction over me and my sports opinions. The Eagles are a stone-cold mortal lock to win the Super Bowl by double digits. Patrick Mahomes ain't winning no MVP when he's getting rolled in Super Bowl 57 by the Philadelphia.
I highly doubt that.
Okay, so because I'm so sick and tired of people like you and people like Stephen A. Smith and all the talking heads on TV that paid a lot of money to talk sports telling me that what the Eagles have to be worried about the Chiefs doing. Guess what? The Eagles have been the best football team in the NFL since September. That's how many months? 5-6 months? The best damn team in the league for 4, 5, 6 months straight.
What teams have they beaten to prove that point?
Here we go. They beat every team. They blow every team on their schedule out. They blow every team on their schedule out.
Let's talk about the three.
They blow everybody out. No, I'm not having it tonight because we've been on the air for 5 fucking minutes. They've already pissed me off like 3 times.
Have they played the Bills? No, they haven't played anybody good.
They blow everybody out. Any doubt you have about the Eagles' schedule goes out the window with their margin of victory. They have pummeled the entire league. They have Mike Tyson, every damn opponent they have played this year.
40 points to the Cowboys.
They're 16-1 with their starting quarterback healthy.
So, big deal. They beat a bunch of garbage.
It means nothing. I know, it means nothing. And the Eagles, 16-1 with their starting quarterback, have to be so worried about the Chiefs. Guess what? Point being,
they didn't have to play anybody. They played all the garbage in the NFC.
Yeah, they played everyone in front of them, and they demolished everyone.
The history of the NFL. They didn't play football like the Minnesota Vikings.
Win 3 points here, 4 points there. They're getting blown out by good teams. They pummeled everybody.
Really? Did they pummel the Redskins?
Everybody.
Excuse me, the Commanders? No. Did they
That's
pummel
their
the
one
Saints?
loss.
Did they pummel the Saints? They weren't able to run the ball against the Saints, that's for sure.
They didn't have their quarterback.
Oh, here comes
didn't have their quarterback.
Funny, you were all over the Dallas. You were all over the Dallas Cowboys when you guys beat them when they didn't have their quarterback, and when you didn't have your quarterback and they had theirs, they put 40 on you. So what makes you think
it doesn't matter? All the outside factors are out the window when you embarrass every opponent you play.
Mahomes is way better than Dak, okay, and he's also way better than Hurts. I don't know where you Eagle fans come up with this stuff. Dak is. Wait a minute, please tell me that Jalen Hurts is better than Mahomes with a straight face.
He's not.
Okay,
that's why we led with Patrick Mahomes, because it takes you 5 minutes, 5 seconds to point out where the Chiefs are better than the Eagles in this football game.
Yeah,
that's the tight end position, barely, and the quarterback position, barely.
Barely?
If Jalen Hurts didn't get hurt, he's getting handed the MVP on Thursday night.
Oh, please.
If Jalen Hurts didn't get hurt.
Stop. Who did he beat? Did he beat Buffalo? Did he play anybody good? He played
strength
garbage.
Of schedule goes out the window.
Oh,
the window when you pummel Mike Tyson, every opponent in front of you.
Until they
beat everyone convincingly. Everyone.
Really? Oh, okay. Did they beat the Lions convincingly? Did they beat the Bears convincingly? No.
I mean, they putting up 40 points in every game. Every game.
They didn't do it against the Colts.
40 points here, 30 points there.
17.
They had a bad game against a division opponent, and they lost. and they barely eked out a team in Indy. A team in Indianapolis that beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right. So it can happen. And that team, the Kansas City Chiefs, also beat the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 100 times better than any team in the NFC, as well as the Buffalo Bills, who are better than any team in the NFC.
I mean, you told me this. You had the same song and dance last week, and I told you the Eagles were going to embarrass Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, they should be.
Yeah, guess what, Brad? The Niners were healthy. Niners were healthy.
Josh Johnson, you are the greatest team of all time because you could beat Josh Johnson.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I'm really impressed.
If the Eagles win this game, like I think they're going to win this game, and I think they're going to win this game 42-17 in that.
Yeah, right.
In that margin,
you're
talking about a top team.
All you guys are out of your mind. You guys make like this is the greatest team of all time. They're not. They're not even close. And until they actually
beat the Kansas City Chiefs by margin, like I think they're going to on Super Bowl Sunday, absolutely a top 10 team of all time.
Oh, stop.
Absolutely.
Oh, stop. They're not better. Listen, they're not better than any of the 49ers teams. They're not better than any of those.
I didn't say they were the best. I said they were top 10.
They're not better. They're not better than any of the Giant teams. They're not better than any of the Redskin teams. So stop. Where do you go? I mean, what do you? You've totally lost your mind. They're not. They're not better than the Rams.
Outscored the NFC playoffs by 55 points.
Yeah, because they didn't play anybody.
Nothing.
They beat Daniel Jones and Josh Johnson. Come on, Rob.
Yeah, but Brad, all that goes out the window when you beat them convincingly, like the Eagles have.
They should. Especially Josh Johnson. Come on, you and Josh Johnson.
That's not the narratives I heard going into each of those games.
Well,
I, for one, was a little bit nervous going into the Giants game because it was a division game. And the Giants had some spunk, had some house money factor going in on them. And the Giants got fucked
but they still aren't as.
And then everyone said, "Oh, the Niners are this big, bad, complete team. Nick Bosa's going to come in here, and Fred Warner's going to come in here, and they're going to bully the Eagles offense."
Yeah, guess what?
You know who got bullied? The Niners.
They didn't have a quarterback.
And why didn't they have a quarterback, Brad?
Because you were going after his elbow. That's why. Congratulations.
Yeah,
you knocked their quarterback. You knocked both their quarterbacks out of the
head, neck, face, shoulders, elbow, knee, legs, everything on Sunday. Everything. And he's going to be on his back the whole game. He ain't winning no MVP. He's on his back the whole game.
Of course he is, because he's way better than anybody on the Eagles. The most important position.
He's not way better than Jalen Hurts. He's better than Jalen Hurts. He's not way better than Jalen Hurts.
Come on.
And Travis Kelce's not way better than Dallas Goedert
Jalen Hurts
either.
have to run to his left. He can't throw the ball more than about 20 yards.
That was true a year ago. I don't think that's true.
He runs the ball all the time.
Not to the extent that it was.
He still runs the ball more than anybody else in the league.
Because he can. That's part of what makes him great. He's a dual threat quarterback.
Well, because he has to. If he had to throw the ball 40 times a game,
Jalen Hurts has had a spectacular season.
You would never win if he had to throw the ball 40 times a game. Especially, let alone beat a team like the Bengals.
I don't think that's true anymore.
Oh, come on.
I really don't. He's evolved as a passer.
115 yards against the Giants and 120 against the 49ers, because your strength is running the football. Yeah,
they ran for
exactly. It has to be because your quarterback is not a guy that's going to throw the ball 50 times, throw for 400 yards.
He's evolved on the deep ball. He's evolved on the intermediate routes. He's evolved throwing on the run. He's evolved at his football IQ.
Yeah, and if you make him,
a whole different player, than the person I ripped for 4 months straight that embarrassed himself against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in wild card weekend. A whole different quarterback.
Okay,
Mahomes is better than him. I'll give him that. But he's not that much better than him. That's the two things. It's a 5-minute conversation. Where are the Chiefs better than the Eagles? Quarterback and tight end. Barely. Everywhere else. If you rank the top 20, let's play a game real quick.
Chris Jones couldn't start on your team either, I suppose, right?
No, he could. Frank Clark wouldn't. Orlando Brown wouldn't. So I have a list in front of me here on the top 20 players in this football game.
And of course, you're going to say it's 17-3, even though you probably watched.
No, it's 5-5. It's 5-5 in the top 10. So I tried to be a little unbiased. It's 5-5 in the top 10, but 10 through 20, basically all Eagles.
Well,
That's where the advantage
Rob,
is.
the most important position on the field is quarterback. Okay?
Yeah, and the Chiefs had the best player in the game, and the Eagles had the second best player in the game.
He's not the second best.
And it's like a pubic
Do you think he's better
hair.
than Joe Burrow or Josh Allen?
Joe Burrow's watching the game like you and me, on his ass on the couch with a beer.
Okay,
Give me
and
Joe
Burrow
and Hurts is here.
Oh, please! They lost to Kansas City. Kansas City is a very good team.
Had every opportunity to win that football game. They couldn't close the deal because they weren't as good as the Chiefs when all the chips were down.
That's correct.
Plain and simple. The Bengals lost.
That's correct, but it wasn't Joe Burrow's fault.
I don't care whose fault it is. Joe Burrow is watching the game. Josh Allen is watching the game. Justin Herbert's watching the game. Just like me and you. Trevor Lawrence. All these guys are watching the game.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts is in the game, and he's the second best player on the football field.
Nick Foles was in one of those games, and Nick Foles sucks. So what does that prove?
Okay, and how many times I say it 87 times a show. Nick Foles isn't a good quarterback. He was the best quarterback in the world on one day in his entire life, and the Eagles won a Super Bowl. That's the way it goes sometimes.
Yes,
and you know what? I'll take it, because even though the Eagles, especially at the quarterback position, weren't as good as the Patriots that day, the Eagles as a football team were better than the Patriots on that day. And every dog has their day, and Nick Foles had his on that day, and that's the way it goes sometimes.
Exactly, and that's the way it's going to go.
Just like Jalen Hurts.
I'm not saying the Chiefs are going to win, but you guys are just making like you're going to destroy them. I think you're nuts if you think they're going to.
It's going to be like a hot knife through butter. Just like the Giants, I told you it was going to be with the Niners, because Brock Purdy's a fraud. A fraud. Even if he played, he wasn't doing anything on our defense.
You tore his elbow up. He couldn't throw.
Yeah, we tore his elbow up. He was healthy.
What was the score when he what was the score when he went out? 7-7, I believe.
7-7, 14-7.
It was 7-7. He went out, and the 49ers couldn't score after that because they had to use Josh Johnson, because their other two quarterbacks were also hurt. So
I know, but the Eagles defense gets no credit at all for putting him on his ass and injuring him. That's a detriment in your eyes. Even though Lawrence Taylor was running around the field all his whole career, snapping Joe Theismann's leg in half, but that's good football. That's good New York Giant football right there. But Hassan Reddick comes off the edge and nips up someone's elbow. That's a dirty play.
That was a clean tackle. You know what? Lawrence Taylor never broke anybody's arm trying to knock a ball out of somebody's hands either.
Isn't that the defense's job, is to go get the football?
Or to break somebody's arm?
You don't make any sense.
I mean,
you don't make any sense.
They literally.
You're just so salty that your team got fucked up in Philadelphia again. Yeah, the Eagles and Giants aren't even a rivalry. Not even a rivalry anymore, because the Eagles win every damn time. You're just so salty about that.
Except that you haven't won as many championships.
Except you haven't won as many championships. Cheap shot at Brock Purdy to make you and your Giants
championships though, like the Giants have. So maybe.
Oh, here we go.
Maybe you're going to have to start doing that once in a while.
4 years old. I'm supposed to care about that.
What? That
Who
your
cares
team?
What happened in 1991, bro?
They all count, Rob. They all count. It's just, you sound like a big baby Pittsburgh Steeler fan. Oh, before the Super Bowl, they never did.
Eagles don't win anything ever, except one time. How am I a snobby Steelers fan?
No,
They're going to have two after Sunday, though.
You act like a crybaby Steelers fan. Because whenever somebody brings up the fact that they didn't win for 40 years before the Super Bowl
why would I care that we didn't win 50 years before I was born? Why would I care about that?
It's part of your team's history. They all count.
I mean, in my coherent football watching life, which is like 1998, 1999 on, for the most part, the Eagles are in the NFC Championship game or better.
The same could be said for the 49ers.
I see that a lot.
The same could be said for the 49ers. Except they actually have won four Super Bowls. However, they've been.
Why does stuff that happened in the 80s and the 70s and the 50s and the 40s? Why are we even talking about that?
Why would you not talk about it? Because you didn't win anything. That's why. That's the convenient excuse. Oh, it's all about you make like there's no right. Sure, there's a rivalry. Okay, yeah, you've been on top for a while.
Not recently.
You know it's
you guys lose every time.
It's cyclical, right? It's cyclical. You
look me in the face right now, and I'll drop it. That was a clean football play by Hassan Reddick to force the fumble, and it's unfortunate that Brock Purdy got hurt. But Brock Purdy stinks.
He went after his elbow
to get the football, which is what defensive players are supposed to do.
No, they usually they just grab their arms, not go after their elbow. But listen, at this point, I don't feel like spending 2 hours arguing about that.
I'm not going to move on at all until you tell me that wasn't a dirty play.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you that was a clean hit.
I thought that was another hour and 40 minutes. You tell me and all the people here. Show us you were being salty last week, and you tell me that that's a clean play.
No, it wasn't a clean play. I thought it was a dirty play.
Why wasn't there a
penalty?
penalty?
That's my opinion. Huh? Because he went after his elbow.
Why is it and what's dirty about that?
Huh?
What's dirty
when
about that?
When you go directly after a guy's elbow and try to hurt him? That's what he was trying to do. It's not
against the rules.
But he still tried to hurt him.
He didn't try and hurt him. He tried to get the ball. He got hurt because he was trying to get the football.
He was intentionally going after his elbow to try to hurt him and get the ball. Don't tell me he wasn't trying to injure. That was an attempt to injure. So don't even try to make like it wasn't an attempt to injure.
You're such a moron.
You know, now you're just acting like a big baby. You know that. You know I'm right.
How am I being a baby? You're being a baby by saying that something that's a clear, legitimate football play is somehow dirty and cheap.
Because your team did it, okay? It's not dirty. No matter what the situation is. Oh, that wasn't so bad. It's just like Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, right. Jadeveon Clowney speared Carson Wentz helmet to helmet in a playoff game. I didn't say nothing about that.
He fell on his.
You're a moron. I'm done with you.
Clowney basically took him and tackled him and landed on his shoulder. That's what he did. Okay,
he did not land on his shoulder. He speared him helmet to helmet from behind and knocked Carson Wentz out of the game. And not to mention, the Eagles 1,000% would have won that football game if Carson Wentz didn't get injured. Because
how do you know San Francisco wouldn't have won that game if Brock Purdy
stinks?
Okay,
Carson stinks now. We didn't stink back then.
Huh?
Carson stinks now. We know that, but he didn't stink back then.
How do you know they would have won?
Because Seattle wasn't good.
Neither were the Eagles.
I was at that game. I watched the whole game, and Seattle wasn't good.
Neither was the Eagles.
Well, it's kind of hard to win when your quarterback gets hurt. I didn't say nothing about that.
That's the whole.
I didn't say nothing about that. I didn't say no. I didn't. You can roll the tape from whatever it was 5 years ago. I didn't say anything about it not being a penalty. I didn't say anything about it not being roughing the passer. I didn't say anything about it being cheap. I didn't say nothing about nothing. The Eagles lost. I tucked my tail between my legs, and we went after it next year. That's what the Niners are doing.
Exactly.
Because they got kicked in the teeth at the link with all the marbles down, and the Eagles are going. And the Eagles are going to do the same damn thing to the Chiefs on Sunday.
They're not
42-17. It's going to be a rout.
I doubt
it's going to be a rout.
I doubt that. You'll win the game. You'll win the game, I think.
Anywhere.
Oh, stop.
We can spend the rest of the 2 hours talking about where the Eagles are better than the Chiefs. A lot of places. We spent the first 5 minutes of the show talking about where the Chiefs are better than the Eagles.
When the Patriots went undefeated, were the Giants better than them at every position? No. Who won the game?
Yeah, well, that's why you play them.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, I don't think anybody said the Patriots were a lock to win that game. Nobody said that. I know people in Boston weren't saying that because you know what?
Except my one buddy, Chris, he had the Giants money line in that game.
Well, I tell you what, when I watched that, when the Giants were running through that playoff when they were playing the Patriots, I thought the Giants could beat them. I thought the Giants could beat them because they should have won the first game. They made a couple of glaring mistakes on special teams.
Of course you did. And if I was a diehard Giants fan like you, I would have said they could beat them too.
And you know what? The second time, I was even more confident that they
But
would
as an
beat them.
Eagles fan, it's out of pocket for me to say. So you thought your Giants were going to beat the undefeated Patriots. Good for you.
That's
You
correct.
guys won.
I didn't think they were going to, but I didn't act like
but
they're going
it's out of pocket for me to say the Eagles are going to beat the Chiefs. The Giants were 15-point underdogs in that game. The Eagles are favored by 1 in this game.
Okay, they're not favored by 10. I mean, you guys act like you're favored by 20 points.
Well, I mean, they should be favored by more than 1.
Well, apparently a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't.
Sizable
who are
bet
betting
on the Eagles money line on Sunday.
Huh? Well, we'll see. We'll see on Sunday with when the late money comes out, where the money's going, because that's really what it amounts.
It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. Smart money is the Eagles. Early money should be the Eagles. Public money should be the Eagles. Sharp money should be the Eagles. The Eagles are winning the football game. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind.
Okay. Well, you put your money where your mouth. You put your money where your mouth is. So I can respect.
I don't usually do it,
and I never. By the way, I didn't say the Chiefs were going to win. I just said that I think the Chiefs are going to give them.
That's another thing that pissed me off within the first 2 minutes of the show. How in the world is Patrick Mahomes going to win MVP if the Eagles win? That doesn't happen.
If it's a close game, and he passes for 400 yards, which he might, because I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball.
Because guess what? In 2009, Chase Utley was by far the best player in the 2009 World Series. Wasn't even close. He had a home run every at bat, and he didn't win the MVP.
Matsui.
Matsui had one good game in Game 6.
He had a good game in Game 5.
7 RBIs.
He had a good game in Game 5 too, by the way.
Okay,
and Game 4.
Chase Utley, dude, he set records in that World Series. You got to win MVP.
How did he do against Mariano Rivera, by the way?
Nobody did anything against Mariano Rivera except when you blew a 3-0 lead to the Boston Red Sox, and when the Diamondbacks won with that senior citizen club in 2000 or 2001. All right. It was. They had Schilling and Johnson and a bunch of old guys.
This is true.
And my man Tony Womack. Remember Tony Womack? He was a stud.
Tony Womack was pretty good.
Dude, he was excellent.
Yeah,
especially that season.
Yeah, he
did. And Luis Gonzalez, he was probably all roided up, hitting the home runs left and right. All right, we've neglected the.
I think he had 360 that season.
Yeah, something crazy. I think he won MVP. Bonds might have.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that because I don't remember.
All right, we've neglected the great fans of A2D long enough. Let's get to some comments. Comments brought to you by looking to buy or sell a home. Contact Alan Foy, eXp Realty. Looking for a change in career brokerage, anything like that, call that number. Alan Foy will hook you up. I'm all Eagles. I can't even do the reads right, but Alan Foy, eXp Realty, he's a good dude. Contact him there for all real estate needs. There we go. Also, you can become an A2D Insider member, $9.99 a month. Appearance on shows, members-only streams, shout-outs, and weekly sports pick from Willie Vegas and the Money Pot Podcast. Everybody bets on the Super Bowl. So if there's ever a month to do it, $9.99, you're definitely going to be betting more than $9.99 on the Super Bowl, right? So it makes sense.
You would think so.
Money Pot, Sundays, and Willie Vegas. He's got some free smoke on Facebook tonight. I know he had Miami. I forget who he had in NBA.
They went 10-2 last week, didn't they?
They're good.
Was it 8-2 or was it 10-2? They were.
I had my first losing Saturday in college bet. I went 0-3 Saturday. So maybe I should buy it. Maybe I should pay for the picks.
I think you do pretty good on your own with college basketball. I would consider you the guru of college basketball.
Who did I have on Saturday? Oh, Virginia. They stunk it up. I forget. All right, UNC. They lost to Duke. All right, let's get to the comments. We got some insider members in the comment. Tom Hedrick, the Eagles will get exposed. Tom, where are the Eagles going to get exposed? Like I said, we can talk the whole 2 hours, the whole 90 minutes we have left about where the Eagles are better than the Chiefs. It's a lot of places. It took us 5 minutes to talk about where the Chiefs are better than the Eagles. Quarterback and tight end. That's it. Takes 5 minutes.
At Chris Jones. You forgot about everything.
Devin England, they only scored 20 points. It's Burrow's fault. It wasn't his best game in the AFC title game. It wasn't Mahomes' best game either. But Mahomes found a way to win, and the Chiefs are playing Sunday, and the Bengals are going home. The Bengals shouldn't have talked all that shit before the game with their mayor and Burrowhead Stadium. That's where I knew they were done for.
Well, when they started calling it Burrowhead Stadium, that was pretty stupid. I mean, why would you do that?
It was funny. I laughed, but then I was done laughing, I was like, they probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. It's just, why poke the bear? I will say this. Based on Mahomes' performance, that was one of the bravest and grittiest performances I think I've ever seen out of him. Because, I mean, he was clearly injured. And for him to be able to, play the whole game and be pretty effective for the most part. I mean, he did miss a few throws because you could see how he was favoring his ankle. The fact that he was able to run for a first down on that last drive, I don't know how he was able to do it, because he looked like he could barely move, and he goes and makes a 10-yard run to get them into field goal range. I mean, that was crazy. And then of course the stupid play out of bounds by Asai, hitting him and making it, instead of a 57-yard kick, it's a 42-yard kick, which for Butker is basically an automatic kick. That was just the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And then the Bengals getting all crybaby about that penalty. I mean, it was a clear.
And then they're talking about it was rigged, and the refs did this, and the refs did that, and the refs had Kansas City. Like, dude, you lost. Go away. I hate that stuff.
Well, look, there are times when the referees can basically end your season, but this time was not one of them. And the one play where the official said he called the play dead, the official was out before the play started, blowing the whistle. You could see him, and nobody heard the whistle, but he clearly was blowing the whistle. So, again, this is stuff they didn't do. The referees didn't do anything egregious in this game. This is just kind of how it is sometimes. You get those are the breaks. And basically, you know what? The Cincinnati Bengals shouldn't have hit Patrick Mahomes out of bounds, because I don't know that Butker could have kicked a 57-yard field goal. That was a very nasty day in Kansas City as far as the wind was concerned, and I don't know that anybody could kick a 57-yard field goal in that kind of wind. I mean, the ball. You could see the ball. They were kicking the ball wide on purpose so that the wind would blow it back through the posts. And good for those kickers to be as effective as they were, because that was pretty remarkable that they were able to do what they did. To be honest with you. But again, I think the Eagles are. I said they're going to win, but I think it's going to be a close game. I could see 37-34 Eagles. That's my prediction. I think they kick a field goal late, and I think that's how it ends.
Devin England, he said we haven't played a team like the Niners. Yep, he said it last week. He said it a lot. Brad. Eagles.
Well, I wasn't expecting them.
The Niners.
I wasn't expecting them to lose the quarterback either.
But Brock Purdy isn't good.
Yeah, but you don't know if he would have played a good game or not. He didn't really have a chance.
But I did. But he's not good. He was Mr. Irrelevant for a reason. He had a nice, cute little run where Kyle Shanahan made it almost impossible for him to lose. You want to talk about not playing anybody. The Niners schedule was a joke. A joke. Lowest win percentage.
The eight games. What you mean? The 8 games Purdy won?
Well, if you want to look at stats and facts instead of fantasy land, like you live in, the Niners had the lowest win percentage among their opponents in the whole NFL in the whole regular season at 41%. Nowhere close to 500. So Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan, they took advantage. But guess what? When they came into Philadelphia, they got scared, they got intimidated, and Brock Purdy's coach turned into a pumpkin. He's not even going to be the starter next year, even if he finished the game healthy.
Well, let me ask you a question. What happened when San Francisco went to Kansas City? Do you recall the score? Because I do.
What
40. It was 44-20. Kansas City. They demolished them. They demolished that defense the same way the Eagles did.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you want to compare how they performed against a top defense, they both did pretty well against the top defense.
The Eagles' defense is better than the Niners' defense.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. The Eagles have the best defense in the whole league.
Yeah, you could make that argument. But Kansas City also had the Chiefs also had the best offense in the league. I think you can definitely make that statement. They scored 496 points. Nobody was really that close.
How many did the Eagles score?
I don't know off the top of my head. I think in 450, maybe 460, something like that.
So pretty good.
Nobody says it wasn't.
But like everyone, points for 477 for the Eagles. Wow, that's pretty close to 496.
And how many did they give up?
Pretty close.
And how many did they give up?
They gave up points against 369 for the Chiefs. Where's the NFC? Wow, 344 for the Eagles. That's less.
And how many points did Dallas give up? I'm just wondering. I think it was almost the same.
342.
Okay, so maybe they weren't the best defense in the league.
Okay.
Just saying.
I mean, if you want to.
I mean, if you want to crunch numbers and talk about points for and points against, I mean, you could talk about that all day. Bottom line is, offensively, the Chiefs were a juggernaut. They scored a shit ton of points. They scored a shit ton of points against good teams. Didn't seem to matter to them. Yeah, they lost a couple of mind-bogglingly weird games, but they also lost against Buffalo and Cincinnati, which are definitely not a disgrace. The Eagles unfortunately couldn't keep their quarterback healthy all season, so they lost a couple of games. And they lost one with him. So I think they're pretty close to being even teams. As I said, I think the Eagles are just a little bit more physical than the Chiefs, and I think that physicality is going to rear its ugly head, and I think the Chiefs aren't going to win the Super Bowl. That's what I think, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to move the football.
Whose fault is it that the Niners put a backup tight end on Hassan Reddick? It's not Hassan Reddick's fault. It's a flawed game plan. Kyle Shanahan got clowned on. I thought he invented football, as it was Vince Lombardi, but apparently not, because his offensive game plan completely stunk against the Eagles, and his offensive game plan and his blocking schemes got his quarterback hurt. So maybe you should look right at the sidelines and the head coach and Kyle Shanahan about why
the
Brock Purdy
fact
couldn't finish
is
the game.
they've lost 2 championship games and a Super Bowl in the last 4 years. So they've been right there, but they can't get over the hump.
Hate to say it. I know, Devin. He's delusional. He thinks it's dirty. I don't know. I I can't help him anymore. I'm done with that.
And Devin, I assume, is a Eagle fan?
Of course he is. He's smart.
Okay, he's an Eagle fan, so that's just my point.
Okay, smart Niners fans. I haven't seen any Niners fans have been the biggest crybabies outside of Cincinnati fans about the game ever. And their players they're a bunch of baby back bitches too. Brandon Ayuk saying how we're lucky and he's putting all his money on the Chiefs to win this Super Bowl on Sunday. Like, cool, dude. Like, you lost. Shut up. Bryce Blackwell's in the house. He's got the Eagles winning 30-20. He thinks it's going to be a tough game. I'm not worried about it. I'm really not. The only crybaby in here is Mike McCarthy's brother. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what Mike McCarthy's brother said or did, but I'm sure it was hilarious. Cowboys, they stink. See, they dumped their offensive coordinator and hired Brian Schottenheimer.
Oh, my God. Brian Schottenheimer is terrible.
Pretty much never had any success as a coordinator or assistant coach in this league. He
was terrible. I remember the Jet fans booed him out of Giant Stadium one season when he was there.
So he's in Dallas now. He's their offensive coordinator. Mike McCarthy's going to call plays. So I don't know. I guess Brian Schottenheimer's just going to stand there. Yeah, Mike McCarthy's not a good enough coach to have all that responsibility.
No.
If Nick Sirianni doesn't call plays, then there's no way Mike McCarthy should be calling plays. Because Mike McCarthy's a dope.
Oh, that's what got him canned from Green Bay. I don't quite get that whole thing in Dallas, but Dallas is a little short right now. Yeah, Jake. If Kayvon Thibodeau did what Reddick did, you would call it a clean play and take the Giants glasses off. That's not true. And by the way, as far as Kayvon Thibodeau is, no, it's not. And as far as Kayvon Thibodeau is concerned, I don't know if you guys read what I said about Kayvon Thibodeau on Facebook, but I had a whole paragraph killing Thibodeau.
What's your beef?
For opening his big
mouth. Let it out. Was he active? Was he active in the divisional round?
Okay.
Was he active? I didn't see him.
Kayvon Thibodeau needs to shut the fuck up. Okay? He is totally out of control. He needs to shut up. He's acting like a dope. Okay? And between him and Julian Love, I mean, come on. There is no reason for them to be opening their mouths. It's ridiculous. Between Julian Love giving Sirianni a hard time, and I forgot now what Thibodeau. Thibodeau was giving somebody a hard time too on Thibodeau said that we could have beaten the 49ers. No, you couldn't. Come on. I mean, you know what? If the Giants had to play San Francisco in a playoff game, they would have gotten smoked. Come on, guys. You had a nice season. Don't turn yourselves into classless idiots by criticizing Sirianni and criticizing San Francisco. We weren't going to beat San Francisco. So as far as that's concerned, and Jake, I don't know if you read what I said about Thibodeau and Julian Love, okay, but there was no reason for all that shit. They're talking too much, and they shouldn't be.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson lit up Julian Love.
Julian Love did not have a great game, and he's a free agent, so we'll see if they keep him.
He's a captain for your Giants. And what he did was not leadership material. It's basically what C.J. Gardner-Johnson said. So maybe if your locker room had better leadership, you'd be in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl.
They don't have the talent to be in the NFC Championship game, Rob.
I'm just telling you what C.J. Gardner-Johnson said.
Yeah, they had a four.
Every time I see the Giants on the schedule, if I'm an Eagles fan, win.
We'll see about that.
Win.
Things may change.
It's wins.
Mm-hmm. And every time I see every time I look in the Super Bowl standings, I see one win for the Eagles. And when I look at overall NFL championships, I see 4 for the Eagles. I see 8 for the Giants, but I only see 4 for the Eagles.
Well,
Maybe they'll make it 5 this year. So, what really counts is championships. This is what a Yankee fan and a Giant fan will tell you. That's what counts. Winning championships. If you want to go by, well, we beat you the last couple of years. So yeah, you've been better than us the last couple of years. We've been terrible. This season we progressed quite a bit. Went from a laughing stock of a football team with a 4-13 record to going 9-7-1 and winning a playoff game, which is a pretty nice jump. Okay, unfortunately for them, they are not an elite team yet, and they lost. But you know what? They're definitely going in the right direction, and we'll see if they can draft well and improve their team.
I mean, I assume Devin's talking to me with this comment. You've done this every game, holding up your Eagles going to win shield while talking shit, trying to hedge your bets. If you're talking to me, I've gotten quite rich. Not rich, but I got a lot of extra spending cash betting on the Eagles this postseason. Over under, same game parlays. Just go on the same game parlay on DraftKings or FanDuel and just click over for the Eagles every single freaking game because you're gonna win because they're a juggernaut. Ted on YouTube. LeBron had 123 points in the first 3 games combined. He was clearly the MVP versus the Warriors in 2015. The losing team never gets the MVP, Brad. Great point. I think LeBron averaged a triple-double. Remember, this was the finals where Kyrie and Kevin Love were hurt. I think. In 15.
Okay. Oh,
And
yeah.
And LeBron averaged a triple-double and took him to 6 games by himself. He stinks, though, according to most people.
He
I love him.
He doesn't
I have a
stink.
special spot.
That's I don't know why people say he's just because he's not as good as Jordan doesn't mean he stinks. Nobody's as good as Jordan.
I have a special spot in my heart for LeBron James.
I know. Listen, do I like LeBron? No, but I wouldn't.
I don't really like him anymore either, to be honest with you.
I mean, but as far as a player is concerned, he's probably
you know when I lost it.
He's in the top 5. He's in the top 5 for all-time great players. I mean,
LeBron should have stayed on the Heat and just been the villain instead of trying to go back to Cleveland and be the good guy. And he got him a championship, so good for them. I guess he feels better about himself for that. But I wish he just stayed in Miami his whole career after he went there and just been like, I don't want to be in shitty Cleveland anymore. I like it in South Beach. I'm with all my friends. Anybody I want to get, I can get because it's Miami and Florida and Pat Riley. Spoelstra's still their coach, I think, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So
who would have thought? And whoever would have thought that he's such a good coach? He never got any credit for just how good a coach he was, and still is. I mean, he's not exactly a guy loaded with talent right now, and yet he still has his team competing every season.
Yeah, look, Matt Spillane in the house on Facebook. Call me a degenerate with my 13-leg Super Bowl parlay. If it's Eagles bets and they're overs, you're gonna win. You're gonna win like $1 million.
13 legs? How do you do that?
You can do anything you want on these apps. It's fucking crazy, Brad.
Yeah, no, I guess you can. It's hard to do that. It's hard to do that in one game, though. That's for sure. I mean, are there 13? Are there 13
there.
Different? I guess.
Yeah, for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there is.
Hold on. I gotta text Frank our score predictions for the graphic. What are you at? 37-34, Brad?
37-34.
I might even go more than 42-17. Go 45-17. Maybe a nice even 7 touchdown day. Jalen Hurts.
Why don't you just do 52-17?
Maybe
Like
let's
Dallas
rack it up.
Just like,
let's rack it up.
I mean, you might as
It's
well.
It's gonna be like when the Niners played.
When the
Do you remember
when the Cowboys beat Buffalo, wasn't that 52-17?
I like it. Didn't the Niners blow out the Broncos one year too?
Yeah, I think it was 55-10.
Like it. Love it. 55-10. Roll
50.
job.
Am I wrong?
Roll job.
Was it 55-10? I think it was 55-10.
I don't know.
It was pretty bad.
Do you remember what this point spread on that game was?
Honestly, no.
I feel like
I just know that Denver had an undersized defense, and San Francisco just pushed them backwards on every play, and Montana did basically everything he wanted and more. The only time Montana actually really got challenged in the Super Bowl was by the Bengals.
I know, but Boomer almost beat them.
That's what I'm saying. The Bengals was
the year I was born.
Yeah, they're the only team that really gave San Francisco trouble in the Super Bowl. During the playoffs, the only team that seemed to be able to beat them in the playoffs was the Giants, believe it or not.
All right, so I want to go through these Super Bowls because I feel like every time there's a huge points spread, you're judging one of them. I remember the Broncos beat the Packers. That was a big point spread that one year.
Yeah, that was a big upset. Nobody expected that. Yeah, and nobody expected. Everybody always thought John Elway was soft until he took a quarterback sneak from the 5-yard line and almost got killed and ran it in for a touchdown.
38 years old and almost
exactly.
paralyzed.
Exactly.
Was that against the Falcons or the Packers?
Oh, that was the Packers. They almost he ran it. He ran it in from. Yeah, it was. I think it was a quarterback draw, and he ran it in from the 5-yard line. I mean, he got clobbered, and he still managed. He took the hit and still got into the end zone. I was like, you know what? All the bad things I ever said about John Elway and not being tough enough, you know what? I'm sorry. That was my official apology to John Elway when he did that, because that was incredible, the hits he took in that game.
So the Bears dominated the first two Super Bowls as monster. That's in the 60s now.
Oh, the Packers. The Packers. The
Packers.
Super
Bowl 4, Super Bowl
Jets,
3, the Colts were 18-point favorites.
Right, and the Jets
lost.
And the Jets defense and running game just completely stifled the Colts. Couldn't do any, and every time they blitzed Namath, he complete a pass for a first down. He kept the Packers, well, not the Packers, I'm sorry, he kept the Colts off the field. Morrill was so bad they pulled him and put Unitas back in when Unitas was 100 years old and can barely move. I do remember that game, and also the
Super Bowl 4, the Vikings were favored.
The Colts kicker missed 2 field goals in that game because it early, which really gave the Jets a lot of momentum.
Well, my point being is 18-point favorite, they lost outright. The next year, the Vikings were 12-point favorites. They lost outright to the Chiefs.
And they didn't just lose; they got killed. I mean that was a shocker because everybody thought the Vikings may have been the greatest team of all time that year, and their offense just completely. Joe Cap, in particular, the quarterback, completely choked. And I think they had Buck Buchanan and Emmett Thomas on that team, and those two defensive players completely dominated the line of scrimmage for Kansas City on the defensive end. Minnesota couldn't do anything against that team. Then you go to the Colts and Cowboys, which was ugly. That was an ugly game. Ugly,
16-13.
sloppy. Yeah, ugly, sloppy.
Colts won and covered.
Yeah, they look like two garbage teams playing. Honestly, they were both great teams. I don't want to take that away from anybody, but that was an ugly game. But at least Dallas lost. That was the good part.
Then the Cowboys routed the Niners or the Dolphins the next year.
Right.
Cowboys won and covered, 6-point spread. Then this is the perfect season, right? Miami versus Washington.
Yes.
Yeah, Miami capped off a perfect season, 14-7, so Miami won and covered. Then the Dolphins were in again.
And honestly, Rob, the next year they were in, I think they were 12-2. They were a lot better that year than the year they won than the first year they won. That Super Bowl, that 12-2 team was a much better team than the one that went undefeated, because you know what, that team just killed everybody. I mean, nobody. They're. I'll tell you what, that team. If you want to be if you ever see highlights of that team, that team was more like the Eagles, the 70, not the 72 Dolphins,
So the
73.
73. This is the
The
73 season.
yeah, the 73 season, because that was the year they had Mercury Morris, Larry Zonka, and Jim Kick. In 72, they had Kick and Zonka. They added Morris, so they had Mr. Inside, which was Larry Zonka, Mr. Outside,
Morris was the
Mercury
speed
Morris.
guy, right?
Right. He was Mr. Outside, and Jim Kick was the third down back that they caught everything. And then they had, of course, Paul Warfield, who was a Hall of Fame receiver, who they stole from Cleveland somehow. I don't remember how they got him, and I don't know why Cleveland let him go, but you know.
Dolphins won and covered that game, 6-point spread. Then you got the Vikings and the Steelers. I guess we're up to 1975 now.
Yes, that was 75. Yeah,
this was kind of the start. This was the start of the steel curtain,
right? Poor Fran Tarkington couldn't do anything that game against the Steelers.
Were favored by 3. They won 16-6, so the favorite won and covered again.
They completely shut down the Vikings, and the Vikings had a good offense that year.
Then the Steelers. Steelers win again, but they don't cover the spread. So we got a touchdown.
I think that was
again to my point.
Wasn't that the year Jackie Smith dropped the ball in the end zone when he was wide open for Dallas?
Oh yeah, that idiot.
Mm-hmm.
I think wasn't this the Lynn Swan game? Didn't Lynn Swan have a big game?
No, that was against the Rams.
Okay.
That was before Lynn.
Dallas led the game 10-7 going in. There's just like a few sentences about each one on this website. It has the spread, which is cool, the result, and then like a two-line summary. Doesn't say anything about that tight end.
Okay. But yeah, that was the Jackie Smith game. Jackie Smith was wide open in the end zone and dropped the pass. Roger Staubach put it right in the breadbasket, and he dropped it.
Then you got the Steelers get broken up, the Raiders get in, and the Vikings get in again, and they lose again. Raiders are 4-point favorites. They win and cover 32-14.
Just a little side note, Rob, in the championship game, just so you know why the Raiders beat the Steelers, both Franco and Rocky Bleier were out with injuries.
Well, the Raiders, they had because this was a John Madden team, right?
Yes. I mean, the Raiders had a great team, don't get me wrong, but
yeah, Pittsburgh they had a bunch of cast-offs. And
Pittsburgh owned them when they used to play them. They used to beat them up all the time, but you know, they couldn't run the ball because obviously, you know, you're missing when you're missing a Hall of Fame running back and his blocking back, who's also, by the way, a hell of a player, Rocky Bleier. You know, they couldn't overcome that against the Raiders. And the game was in Oakland, and you know how good Oakland used to be at home. Back then, they were dynamite at home.
And then the Cowboys, this is still because LA wasn't until '83.
Yeah, no, they had Craig Morton. The Cowboys played against Craig Morton, who was a former Cowboy.
27-10 Cowboys roll job.
That was the Orange Crush team, and they got slaughtered.
Then we have Cowboys Steelers again.
And the
Steelers covered by a half a point, 35-31. I think this was the.
Wait a minute, that was the Jackie Smith game.
I think this is the game that Jabroni dropped the ball.
Yeah, that was the Jackie Smith game. I'm wrong. That was the Jackie Smith game.
Terry Bradshaw went off 318 and 4 scores, which was just
he had a
ridiculous for that day. And the Steelers win again. They barely cover double-digit spread.
Who did they beat that year?
The Rams. Remember. This was the year they beat the Rams.
Oh, that was the year. That was the Vince Ferragamo year. Yeah.
They were 10 and a
That was
half
the Lynn-
point favorites, and
that
they
was the
won
Lynn
31-19.
That was the Lynn Swan game. Lynn Swan had an unbelievable game.
Bradshaw, they gave Bradshaw the second straight MVP, even though he threw 3 picks. Then the Raiders got in again against the Eagles, so we're up to 80.
1980.
The Eagles were actually favored by 3, and they got smoked by the Raiders.
Well, the Eagles beat the Raiders that year during the season.
Well, this was the year that everybody says that Vermeil just micromanaged the team too much, and they came out tight, whereas the Raiders, Madden didn't care and let them run wild. I think it was in New Orleans.
Yeah,
New Orleans, Miami.
Jim Plunkett was the quarterback that year.
He won the MVP at 3 touchdown passes.
Yep. Yeah, he had a great game.
But that's the narrative around Philly on that game is Vermeil didn't have his team loose, and they played scared and tight, and Madden did a way better job at having his guys loose.
Yeah, if you want to hear from somebody who wasn't an Eagle fan, I thought they just came out flat as a pancake, to be honest with you. Back then, I wasn't quite as knowledgeable about all that other stuff as I am now, so I wouldn't have known. I just thought they came out flat as a pancake and didn't play, and weren't sharp.
And then 80, because they beat Dallas in the title game at the Vet,
right?
And that was
that was their Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that was their
Super Bowl. So they were just kind of after they beat Dallas,
right?
Then the Niners, so we're up to 81. Niners beat the Bengals, so the Niners won and covered. Niners were only favored by 1 point.
I think they won by 3, didn't they?
26-21. So 5.
Oh, okay, they won by 5. Okay. That's right. I forgot they had the safety, I think.
So this is Montana's first Super Bowl.
Right.
And he won
Ken
the
Anderson.
MVP.
Ken Anderson was the quarterback for the Bengals.
Then you have Washington versus Miami.
Washington won that game. That was Woodley.
Dolphins were favored in the football game, though.
Yes, they were.
By
David
3.
Woodley.
So
David Woodley was terrible
day.
in that game. Yep.
I thought it was going to be. Well, we had we had a couple at the beginning with big spreads that were outright dog winners, and I know we're going to have a couple coming up here. This is fun going through all these Super Bowls.
I kind of remember almost all of them.
So the dog barked. Oh, we're getting into my time zone too, so I'll be able to chip in here a little bit soon. Then Washington played the Raiders.
Washington killed them. No, I'm sorry.
No,
the Raiders killed Washington.
This was the Marcus Allen game.
Yeah, no, the Raiders killed Washington.
So Washington was favored by 3, and the Raiders won 38-9.
Yeah, the Raiders killed them that game.
I like this web. This is a cool little breakdown here. This is on Yardbarker. Cool website. Shout out to Yardbarker. And you had the Dolphins and the Niners. So this is Marino.
Marino against Montana.
And Marino was a rook.
Right.
And everyone said, oh, don't worry about it. Marino's going to get back plenty of times. And he never went back.
Nope.
38-19. Niners are favored by 3.5. So favorite won, favorite covered. It's Montana's second Super Bowl and his second MVP. Then you had the laugher in 85.
The Bears, that was the Bears destroying the Patriots.
Bears were favored by 10. They won 46-10. William the Refrigerator Perry with the iconic.
Yeah, he got a touchdown that game.
Touchdown.
Except that the fans went crazy
here we go, Brad.
Walter Payton was the big one.
21. Super Bowl 21, Brad. Put your Giants glasses on, baby. Because the Giants beat the Denver Broncos.
39-20, I think. Is that the score? 39.
That is correct.
Okay.
Giants were a whopping 9.5-point favorites.
And they covered.
Was this the year? This was the Biner fumble, right? In the AFC title game.
Yes. And Denver actually had a 10-0 lead in that game early. And
in
then the
Super
Giants
Bowl?
came back. Yes.
Well, tell me about. Do you remember the AFC game at all?
Yes.
Where the Browns loaded and that idiot just fumbled? I shouldn't say idiot. He was actually a good player.
Didn't he fumble like on the 2-yard line or something like that?
As they were waning moments.
Yeah, I remember because believe it or not, that year, I'm trying to remember who. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, I had bet a parlay with the Broncos and the Giants, and I hit it.
Nice.
I think the Giants. Yeah, I think the Giants.
Is this like back in the day where you had to find like a payphone to call the bookie?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, except I didn't do that. And when I called him, I used to say, "This is Bernie for Anthony." I have no idea who Bernie was or who Anthony was. I know that the bookie's name was Mike. That's what.
We paid you your money, right? So whatever you did, it worked.
Yeah. But I remember I got paid 2-1 for that. So I bet 25, and then I won 50. So I ended up walking out with $75. And back in the early 80s, that was a pretty nice hit.
That's the equivalent with the Biden inflation right now. Yeah. That's like $6,000.
It felt like it felt like it. But but I had Denver in that game, and when Cleveland was marching down the field, I was like, oh no. Because Denver was getting pushed around again. They're deep, they're undersized defense.
You never win bets like that. You always lose bets like that.
Yeah, well, usually I
you always had the Browns. Like I would have the Browns and would lose on that.
Right, exactly. Well, see, I'm the idiot that bet on the Sixers to beat the Nets. No, I'm sorry. I bet the Nets to beat the Sixers. Okay, and Darryl Dawkins hit 1 3-point field goal in his career, and guess when it was? That game. Yes, I'm serious.
All right, moving on the Super Bowl timeline here.
Yes.
This was next year was Washington versus Denver, so this is the Doug Williams game.
Yeah, they scored 28 points in the second quarter.
Broncos were favored by 3, and they got waxed 42-10. All right, we're starting to get into. Now we're in 1989, Super Bowl 23, Niners-Bengals. Niners won but didn't cover. They were favored by 7. They only won by 4. And surprise, surprise, Joe Montana.
Oh, with that
late drive.
Yeah, that 2 minute. I think the Bengals had scored 2 touchdowns that game with kickoff returns too, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think that happened. And then the only one who ever
the game was in January. The game was in January. I didn't come around till October that year. So.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I think
take your word for it.
I'm pretty sure Cincinnati had 2 touchdowns on either kickoff returns or punt returns. I can't remember, but I mean it. I remember.
You're telling me they didn't do anything on offense?
They didn't do as much as you would have.
They only had 16 points in the game. Anyway, Jerry Rice had 11 catches, 215 yards, and he got the MVP.
Yeah.
They didn't cover, though. So if you had the Bengals that day, you won.
You won. Yes.
And this is the game we were talking about. The Niners are favored by 12 against the Broncos. They won 55-10.
Yes.
Back-to-backers for Montana, and Montana won the MVP again.
Correct.
That's what I got to do. 55-10 Eagles. We're going to match that one.
There is also one, when the Giants in '86, when the Giants won the Super Bowl, they had played the 49ers. It was Jerry Rice's rookie year. And at the beginning of the game, Montana hit Rice with a pass, and he was running the ball in for a touchdown on a bomb. There was nobody around him. And somehow he fumbled the ball, and the Giants recovered, and they went on to win the game. I can't remember if it was 49-3 or 49-6, but yeah, it was really bad. I mean, the Giants just
When the
killed them after
Giants
that.
and the Niners?
Yeah.
Oh,
This
the
was in
title
86.
game, you mean?
Right.
You mean the title game?
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha.
They played. Yeah. I forgot to mention that. And then I guess in 1990, you get to 1990, the following year, right? When the Giants beat the 49ers with 5 field goals. Matt Barr drilling one from 41.
I don't know. The next
to end
Super
the
Bowl
game.
is the Giants and the Bills. This is the wide right game.
Right. But the Giants also beat the Niners to stop the three-peat.
Okay.
Because all we heard all season
Norwood
was
missed a
three-peats.
47-yard field goal at the end of regulations. Bills were favored by 7. Not Giants nabbed them outright. You bet on that game, Brad?
No. I thought the Bills were going to kill him. To be honest with you,
This is the Bills.
That was
So
the
now
one
we're
game that the Bills could have and should have won. I mean, I think they beat the Raiders 52-3 in the championship game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because remember we had that kicker on during the pandemic.
Yes, Jeff
And he
Jager.
talked about that game.
Yeah,
because Bo Jack got hurt, and that took all the wind out of Raiders' sails.
Yep. Yeah, I remember
That's
him.
what he said.
Yeah, I remember him saying, yeah, they beat the Raiders. That's right.
So now we're into the Buffalo Bills collapses, 4 straight collapses. The next year, Washington was favored by 7. So the Bills weren't even favored to beat the Washington.
No.
Rippin, MVP. So Washington wins. Washington covers 37-24. Then the Bills again, 52-17. I like that score better. I'm going to go 52-17.
I think you can go 52-17 or 55-10, whichever one makes you happy.
Nah, because I'll give Mahomes a little respect. I'll have him get touchdowns. Yeah, this was a laugher. Should have been more, but Leon Lett fumbled the ball like an idiot.
Oh yeah, that's right. BB chased him down when he was running with the ball all spread out and acting like a jackass.
It doesn't matter. Cowboys were favored by 6.5. They rolled 52-17.
Right.
Then next year they rolled again. They were favored by 10.5.
Yeah, I don't think it was much.
Cowboys Bills 2 years in a row.
Yeah, it wasn't
30-13. Little better, but not much.
Yeah, that game was a slaughter. That game was over early.
I got to do math for this one because the next year this was Steve Young getting the monkey off his back.
Right.
49-26 was the final. Was 26. The spread was 18.5. That's got to be the biggest number in Super Bowl history.
That was against the Chargers, right?
That was correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus 18.
That was Junior Seau's team.
Who was the quarterback? I guess it was Dan Fouts still, or no?
No. It was not Dan Fouts. I'm trying to remember.
So the Niners covered an 18.5 spread.
Right. It wasn't Dan Fouts, though.
Then the Cowboys were favored by 13.5 over the Steelers. Cowboys won but didn't cover. 27-17.
That was the Larry Allen. That was Larry Allen getting 2 interceptions, right?
Yeah, Larry Brown.
I'm sorry. Larry Brown, yeah.
That was 3 out of 4 for the boys. We them boys, and they haven't done anything since. And then now we're getting into my neck of the woods here. This is 96. This is the Packers versus the Patriots. This is the first push we've had. Packers were favored by 14. They won 35-21.
That was the game Dez. That's the game Dez
Desmond Howard.
Desmond Howard had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns in that game too.
Was it 2? I know he had 1.
I think it was 2. I could be wrong, Rob. I thought he had
They
2.
had Reggie, and Favre was MVP that year.
No, that team was that was one of the greatest teams Green Bay ever had. I thought that team was just really, really good.
And then the next year, Green Bay got back. They're favored by 11 against Elway and the Broncos. And
Yes,
Elway and the Broncos.
That was the game I'm talking about when Elway went in and scored that miraculous touchdown, which I gave my official apology to my brother-in-law about, because I was watching the game with him about calling John Elway a woman and being soft and all that other stuff, because he took some monstrous hits and he willed them to that. I mean, I know Terrell Davis did most of the heavy lifting, but he willed his way to winning that game.
Yeah, so the Packers. So Denver was an 11-point dog in that game and won the game outright.
Yep,
pretty impressive. Then next year, the Broncos were favored by 7.5 points against
the Falcons.
Jamal Anderson and the Falcons.
Yeah, Chris Miller was the quarterback for the Falcons, if I remember correctly. And
Chris Chandler.
Oh, it was Chris Chandler? I thought it wasn't Chris Miller?
Because remember the.
Oh, it was Chandler.
Yeah,
okay,
Chandler.
Okay, yeah.
Because
okay.
they beat
the Vikings. Yeah, they beat the Vikings.
And the Vikings were stacked.
Yeah, they had no excuse
and they
to lose that game. Yeah,
I tell you what,
didn't Gary Anderson miss an easy field goal that game?
Yeah,
Rob?
The Vikings stink. We're going over all these Super Bowls. Like, it's all heartbreak for the Vikings. They're a terrible franchise. They suck.
Oh, they lost every Super Bowl they were in, and I think they were favored in 3 out of the 4, if I'm not mistaken. The only game they weren't favored in was the Oakland game, but everybody knew that Oakland was going to kill them.
You had the Rams.
I love Chuck Foreman though. Love Chuck Foreman. Great running back.
Then you had epic game between the Titans and the Rams.
Oh, that's right. That game ended on the 1-yard line.
23-16. So that's another push. Right? 4-3. Yeah, 7.
Yes, 7. Mm-hmm.
7 points. That was Steve McNair, Eddie George, tough, gritty Titans, and the greatest show on turf. That was a great game.
Yes, it was. Hard to believe that the
defense.
greatest show on turf only won 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah, this was back in the day where you actually had to play defense at a high level to win the Super Bowl and run the ball. Just remember, McNair and Eddie George, they were tough as nails.
Yes, they were.
And I think they had Javon Curse that year. I think he was a rookie.
That I don't remember, honestly. Houston had some.
And then
Houston were they Houston then, or were they Tennessee?
They were Tennessee. I think that was the first year they were Tennessee. Yeah. First or second year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
And then the next year, so now we're up to Super Bowl 35. Giants were again in this one. They played Ray Lewis and that great defense.
And they got slaughtered.
34-7. Ravens were only favored by 3 in this game.
Well, that's because the Giants had beaten guess who?
Kerry Collins. So Vegas kind of believed in Kerry Collins, stinky Kerry Collins.
You know why?
Against that great defense.
Because the week before that, they beat guess who at the Meadowlands in
right. They beat the Vikings by a lot, right?
41-0.
Was that still Randall, or was there a different quarterback from Minnesota?
Was it Randall? I don't think it was Randall.
No,
it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't Randall.
Was it Brad Johnson?
I think it was Brad Johnson. I think it was Brad Johnson.
Then they got rid of Brad Johnson, and he went down to Tampa, and
he won one there.
Beat the Eagles.
But no, they didn't beat the Giants. Could never beat Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham had their number.
And now we're into Super Bowl 36. So this is the Brady era has begun. Patriots beat the Rams in New Orleans, 20-17. Rams were favored by 14.
Right,
Probably the
and,
biggest upset in Super Bowl history since Super Bowl III.
That was the that was the first of many late game winning field goals by the most clutch field goal kicker of all time.
Then Brady took a break, and then the Buccaneers won. They broke the Eagles' hearts at the vet. Raiders were actually favored by 4 in this game, and the Buccaneers won 48-21.
The Eagles were
I
better.
think Gannon had 4 or 5 picks.
Yeah, the Eagles were a better team than Tampa Bay. They should have won that game. I was really surprised that they lost to Tampa Bay.
You know, because Tampa had a bunch of dogs, and then they heard all week about how they weren't going to win and how it was going to be too cold, and it was the last game at the vet, and they responded. And McNabb didn't play well.
I think Warren Sapp had a huge game.
McNabb didn't play well in the NFC Championship game. Shocker.
Well, look at the bright side. He did it to 2 teams. He did it with the Vikings too. So.
Who? McNabb?
Yes.
What do you mean?
He did it. He choked with the Eagles, and then he choked. No, that wasn't McNabb. I'm sorry. That was
Randall.
That was Randall that did. Randall could never win a big game.
Once he was traded, it was done.
Yeah, they.
Randall
was the only one that had a great arm. Randall was the one that made Randy Moss look so special.
Well,
because
Randall realized in Minnesota that he could just stand there and let other people make plays instead of him having to make the plays all the time.
He also realized that he could throw the ball about 70, 80 yards. So all he did was just go back there and throw the ball as far as he can, and Randy Moss would run under it. And he had his
then we're back to Brady.
Bunch of touchdowns.
Then we're back to the Brady era. Patriots were favored by 7 in this game against the Carolina Panthers. So Patriots won, did not cover.
Yeah, they kicked the field goal at the end of the game. Again.
That was the Super Bowl where Janet Jackson ripped her titty out, remember?
Yes.
Then the Eagles lost to the Patriots. Patriots were favored by 7, so the Patriots again won and didn't cover. That was the Deion Branch game. He had a bunch of yards. Corey Dillon ran all over the Eagles that day, too. Then you had the worst Super Bowl of all time, in my opinion, was the Steelers and the Seahawks in Detroit.
Okay.
Remember Jerome Bettis got his ring?
Yes.
21-10.
Yes.
Steelers were favored by 4. It was just a mad game.
Yeah.
I remember Willie Parker. He had a big run in that game.
Yeah, didn't
Super Bowl record run.
Yeah. That's right.
Because the bus, he got his ring, but he wasn't a big part of that team.
Not at that point.
He was the backup.
Yeah, but they always brought him in on 3rd and short or on the goal line, and he always in that era he was a bulldozer, and he scored every time he got the ball when they were close to the end zone.
Then Peyton got his ring over the Bears. Colts were favored by 7. Colts won the football game. Colts covered.
How could the Colts have lost that game? I mean, Rex Grossman was the quarterback for the Bears, who was terrible. The Bears.
Remember that was the game.
The Bears defensively were so good, and they had so much talent offensively, and then they had Rex Grossman as their quarterback, which is it's
Remember
unbelievable.
That was the game. Devin Hester.
Yep.
Devin Hester ran back the opening kick. It was cool.
And it was also raining.
The Colts really had no issue.
It was also pouring rain that day too.
Yeah, in Miami.
Yep, it was they were playing in a monsoon like the whole game.
And we're back to your Giants, Brad. Patriots 12-point favorites. Giants win 17-14, ruining the perfect season for the Patriots. 12-point line.
Yeah, everybody was calling the Patriots
point
the greatest team ever.
Well, that's a lot of games because the Patriots were favored by 12. I mean, we've seen some 14s. We saw an 18.5. We saw 16.5 in Super Bowl III. So even though the Patriots are undefeated, that was not even close to the biggest spread in that Super Bowl.
No. Well, there was a lot of New York. There was a lot of New York money too. That's why.
Super Bowl.
That was some game.
That's true.
I thought the best out of all the Super Bowls, honestly, was the Giant Buffalo game was the best game I ever saw. Because that was just there. I mean, the drama, and then Norwood missing the kick.
Was this next one here, the Steelers and the Cardinals.
That was a pretty good game too. Yes.
Steelers Cardinals was a phenomenal game. Steelers were favored by 7, so they won, didn't cover. Remember, Fitzgerald went off. Santonio Holmes went off. 2 great Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Santonio Holmes had an unbelievable game that year.
Then the Saints beat the Colts. Saints were 5-point dogs.
Yes,
and they
Peyton
won
Manning threw I think he threw a pick 6 in that game, and that completely destroyed the Colts. The Colts.
Remember they did the onside kick too at halftime.
Remember and they recovered the whole too. Game. Yep. Yeah. That was the year that the Saints beat Favre in the when Favre played for Minnesota in the championship game, right?
Correct. Okay. That sounds right. That Minnesota team was loaded and they choked again.
Well, it wasn't all. I mean, that was just bad luck because Favre went and twisted his ankle.
Sean Payton got paid $20 million a year because of this game right here. That's the only thing he's ever done. Is that championship right there?
No, he had some good teams after that, but you know what? The reason he was good is because he had Drew Brees. I mean, Drew Brees is an all-time great quarterback.
Next year, round them out. This is Super Bowl 45? Packers Steelers. Aaron Rodgers gets his ring. Packers were favored. Packers won. Packers covered. And Aaron Rodgers was the MVP. Then the Giants played the Patriots again. The Giants won again.
Same kind of script.
Only a 2.5 point spread this time. I hammered the Giants in the Super Bowl. I knew they were going to win. I knew they were going to win this game. I hammered the Giants.
I thought they were going to win the game too, to be honest with you. I absolutely was confident they would win that game.
Then you had the blackout. Remember the Niners and the Ravens?
Right. And the Ravens won.
The Ravens won.
That was Kaepernick's
favored by 4.5. Though.
Yeah, well, because Kaepernick at that
15 minutes for Kaepernick.
Yep, that was his 15 minutes of fame. I mean, he was a great runner.
That was a good game. That stupid power outage. That was a black guy. Would have been one of the best games in Super Bowl history if they didn't have to stop like a bunch of jabronis in the middle there.
Well, if you remember, the Ravens had a big lead when that happened, and then after
they shut the lights out.
Yeah, then the lights got shut out, and then when they came back on, the 49ers cut it down and made it close.
Yeah, Kaepernick was on fire.
Kaepernick came out and just started running all over the place, and that was really what he finally. The gig was up after that with Kaepernick because everybody realized if you make him sit in the pocket and try to throw the ball, he can't hit the side of a barn. And that's what ended up happening. But they were quite effective. I remember they
next year this was Matty the outdoor Ice. Super Bowl.
Yeah, they beat Matty Ice and Matty Ice was I think wasn't he 15-1 that year? Falcons, or were they 14-2?
Yeah, in the championship. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were good, and the Niners
Yep.
beat them. Next one was the outdoor Super Bowl. Complete disaster, horrible game.
Was that
Seahawks won 43-8.
Oh yeah, over the Colts. That was bad.
It was the Broncos. It was the
Broncos. Okay, you're right. It was the Broncos. That was a bad game.
Then you had a classic the next year. This one was a pick. This is the first pick'em we had. The Patriots and the Seahawks was a pick'em, and the Patriots won 28-4 because Pete Carroll didn't give the ball to the best power back in recent memory in Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah,
Decided to throw it through a pick.
Yeah, that
what
was
a disaster.
What a dumb call that was.
Marshawn Lynch, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, Marshawn Lynch ran the ball right down their throats for the last 30 yards, and then they get the ball to the 1-yard line, and now he passes.
Next one, another stinker. This was the Von Miller game. Panthers Broncos.
Oh, that was one
MVP.
of my favorite. That was one of my favorite games because you know what? I couldn't stand Cam Newton.
Panthers were favored by 5, and they lost by 14.
Cam Newton fumbled and didn't bother to dive on the ball. He just stood there and looked at the ball.
That's when everyone knew the guy was a fraud, and he didn't really do anything after that or since then.
Nope.
Then you have another Brady sighting. This was the 28-3 debacle for the Falcons.
Yes.
Falcons were up 28-3. They lose 34-28 in overtime. Patriots are favored by 3. Patriots won. Patriots covered. A lot of money by the Patriots. I was pretty upset at 28-3.
Yeah.
And Brady did his thing. That's the first. Remember, Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. There.
Yes, he was. You're right.
And they kept throwing the ball and not calling stupid plays and not keep giving Brady chances.
Yeah, they could have taken the air out of the ball. They made it very, very tough for themselves.
Do not.
Yep.
Fraud and do not. Then you got Super Bowl 52, Brad. Obviously, this is a personal favorite for me. Nick Foles and the Eagles. They beat the Patriots, 41-33.
They were favored, weren't they?
8-point line.
Were the Eagles favored?
Let me scroll down. No, I'm sorry. It was only 4.5.
They were underdogs that whole.
Patriots are favored by 4.5.
Yeah, I was going to say they were underdogs the entire playoffs for whatever reason, even though they were 14-2 or 13-3.
I think they were favored at home against Minnesota. They were favored in the NFC Championship game when they saw Minnesota.
Okay, but they weren't favored against Atlanta.
They weren't favored against the Falcons in their first game.
And they're at home. They're at home, and they have the best record in the league. And the Falcons were favored. How stupid a line was that?
I was in Vegas for that game, and I hammered it. I won mucho dinero on the Eagles that day.
I mean, that was pretty obvious.
I won mucho dinero the next week.
I had I bet that, I would have definitely bet on the Eagles in the game against Atlanta. Because I didn't think there was any way Atlanta was going to win that game.
Patriots-Rams was the next year. This game stunk. 13-3.
Yeah, that was the 13-3 game. That was awful.
Patriots are favored by 2.5. Patriots won. Patriots covered. Chiefs-Niners. Chiefs were favored by 1.5.
Came back from a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter.
Right. Jimmy G couldn't close out.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
they
20 to
I
10
think they
fourth quarter.
yeah they scored 2 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes of the game. If I'm right, wasn't it like
Then the
didn't they do
Chiefs
it
were
like
favored
really
by
late?
3 against the Buccaneers.
And the Buccaneers whooped them. And I remember you and I loved the Buccaneers that in that game. We both had the Buccaneers, and a lot of people
Did we? I
were
don't
saying
remember.
a lot of people were disagreeing with us. If I remember.
Then you had the Bengals and the Rams. Bring us up to date.
Yep.
Obviously, the Rams won. The Rams did not cover, though. Rams were favored by 4. They only won by 3. So that brings you
And
up
now you
to
got
that was interesting down memory lane there with the point spreads. And now you have the Eagles and the Chiefs.
and you think they're going to walk all over them,
And
and I think it's going to be a real
I do.
contested, tough game. We'll see what happens. I think, as I said, I think the Eagles are going to win, but I think
Yeah,
it's going
I'm
to be
going to
one
go
hell of a fight.
42 to 17. 42 to 17.
I'm going to say 37-34 Eagles. Last minute field goal.
All right, so that's our trip down memory lane, Super Bowl style, with spreads. Mike Marshall, Rams sold their souls for that win.
Yeah, but they got it though.
Yeah, the Harbaugh Bowl. That's the Harbaugh Bowl. So put in the comments right now if you're listening what your favorite Super Bowl was and why, and then we'll get the prop bets, and then we'll talk about the NBA a little bit. So if you're listening, we got 9 viewers. Tell your friends. Let's get up to 25. The show. What your favorite Super Bowl was? Tracy Porter, Ted. Yeah, Tracy Porter. He got the pick 6 against the Colts. It was the Colts and the Saints.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember that. That was the that was the play I was talking about. I couldn't remember.
That was the Colts and the Saints.
Yes.
Mike Marshall, 27-23, Hurts MVP. Here's Mike Marshall saying something stupid. Fun fact, Kaepernick has a higher QBR than Brett Favre. Like, what's that supposed to mean? Kaepernick's a better quarterback than Brett Favre? Stop it. Kaepernick was a one-trick pony.
You can make statistics.
Yeah, you can make him say whatever you want.
But
Kaepernick was a one-trick pony, and once everyone figured out his one trick, he was out of the league.
Yeah.
Colleen Marshall, go Birds. Rams sold their soul for that win. I still can't believe Falcons blew that Super Bowl on. Yeah, 28-3. Wasn't there like 7 minutes left or something too?
Yeah, something like that.
It's like you can't even do that on Xbox. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I also remember them driving down to the 20-yard line of the Patriots. Julio Jones catching a ball at the 20-yard line, which would have put him in field goal range to essentially lock that game up. And they took a couple of holding penalties and got themselves knocked out of field goal range. That's how bad. That's how bad they choked in that game.
Ted, his favorite Super Bowl was 52. Obviously, a little biased there. Finally broke through. No Super Bowl will outdo it.
What was yours,
They
Rob?
win this one.
What was yours? The 52, I would assume, right?
Yeah, but I'm going to pick a different one just to, be different. I mean, I was pissed off watching the Cardinals versus the Steelers Super Bowl because, remember, the Eagles lost to the Cardinals in the NFC Championship game that year. But that game was crazy. That game was so good.
That was a hell of a game.
We'll put 52 aside for me, and I'll go with the Arizona versus Pittsburgh.
Yeah, mine would be the second Giants Super Bowl when Norwood went wide right.
What about like a not Giants one?
Boy, I'll tell you what. The Steelers beating the Cowboys the second time.
95.
To see Jackie Smith drop a pass wide open in the end zone, and Roger Staubach losing. I couldn't stand Roger.
Well,
Staubach.
no, that was in the 70s.
That was in the 70s, but that was my favorite Super Bowl. Other than the
I'm all
one the
for
Giants.
Yes, Super Bowl 52, Brandon Graham, the big hit on Brady, only turnover for Tom Brady in the game. Yeah, Ted, Jerry Jones is an idiot. Jerry Jones has no idea what's going on. Jerry Jones, Brad, this week said that he thinks the Eagles mortgaged like the future and like are sacrificing long-term success to be in the Super Bowl this year. When we have we have the 10th pick in the draft, Jerry.
That you have 2 first-round picks.
We're in the Super Bowl and we have a top 10 pick.
Yeah, but you have 2 picks this year.
We have the 10th pick, which was the Saints pick, and we have our own pick, which is going to be 32nd after the Eagles take care of business Sunday.
And you could probably
Jerry Jones doesn't.
You could probably trade up and get a higher pick if there's somebody out there
you
really
up,
want.
You can trade back. You can do whatever you want. It's beautiful. Because Howie runs circles around Jerry Jones. Even when Howie was doing bad and picking Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, still a better executive than Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones won all his
He won all his championships.
Jerry Jones won all his titles when there was no salary cap.
Yeah, he just bought everybody.
No hard cap, right?
Right. I mean, and basically the way they did it was they basically stole what's his name from the 49ers, Charles Haley, and that was the difference. That's why he won all those.
They got
Super Bowls.
They got Prime. They got
time.
Sanders.
They stole him too.
And then they drafted well. They drafted the big 3.
Yes.
Emmett, Irving, and Aikman.
Yeah, and Alvin Harper wasn't too bad either with them, and they had some.
And they had a great offensive line.
Yeah, and then they had, I think Novacek was their tight end. Not bad. Pretty damn good team.
Yeah, we were talking. We talked about it in the '98 Super Bowl, Don, when Gary Anderson missed that easy kick. Oh, I'm sorry. He's talking about when Blair Walsh missed. I think it was an extra point. Against the Seahawks in Minnesota.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
I think it was a wild card game, though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Jets upset of the Super Bowl made the old AFL legit. Bob Brinkman. Is Vlad the Impaler? Is he breaking news? So Brian Flores he's the Vikings defensive coordinator now. Well, the Vikings defense was 32nd in the league last year, so he has nowhere to go but up. It's a smart job to take because you can't do any worse. Right? I mean,
good point.
I'm lying, I'm dying. All right, let's get to some props. Let me get my props out here. So we'll call this early leans for the week. Only one game. Early leans brought to you by FanUp. The best way to enjoy daily fantasy sports. Daily NFL contests and more. They have basketball. They have hockey. They have all kinds of stuff. A2D promo code. Get you 5,000 free points. That's a $50 value. FanUp. only in the Apple App Store. Also brought to you by All Campus, giving 20% off to all Insider members. Includes hats, shirts for all of our subscribers. That's on the Ocean City Boardwalk between 10th and 11th Street. Our friend John Coyle down there. We're also brought to you by Gleason's Bar and Grill, 6700 Mill Creek Road. Another great spot for your Super Bowl party needs. 10% off your order. Dine in, take out, online. Doesn't matter. Gleason'sBarandSteaks.com. All right, early lean. So the game itself, I love the Eagles. Wonder if it's moved. It's been holding strong at 1.5, Brad.
Yeah, but it's still early. Now you'll start
A
seeing
little bit. First off, I hate this. I hate this bye week. Super
Yeah,
Bowl
I do
should have been
too.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Stupid. Like for what? Why?
I think they
Why?
do it for the media. Because they want to get the media, they want to get all their interviews, and they want to make sure that
They're doing that right now.
everybody
All
does
these
their
clips.
appearances. Yeah, they do it. They do it week 2. The first week, nobody does anything.
Because that's going on right now. Media night,
Yeah,
opening night, whatever they're calling it these days.
media night, media day. Then I think Wednesday and Thursday they don't really do much of anything, and then Friday they get their last talks in, and then Saturday and Sunday. Saturday they do their walkthroughs.
Do you have a opinion on the Eagles favored by 1.5? Too
Yeah, I
much,
think they'll
too
cover.
little, just right.
No, I think
I
they'll
love
cover.
them. You know, I love them to cover.
Yeah, I think
over-
they win by. I think they win by 3. But I mean, if they win by more, I think the Eagles are going to win the game. They're too physically dominant for the Chiefs to handle them.
I mean, they're minus 125 on the money line. That seems heavy for a 1.5 point line.
Cool. What did you want them to be? 1.10?
On a 1.5 point line, yeah, 110, 115.
110? Yeah, you're not wrong. It'll probably go up to 3. I'm thinking it should. I think the line should be like 3.5. Honestly, that's just my opinion, but
I should bet now. Then you're saying
yeah, if you're going to bet,
you think that's what it should be, or that's what it's going to be?
No, I think that's what it should. I think the line should be like 3.5. I mean, I think anything you can get under 3 is a good deal. If you can get 2.5, I think you're doing okay. I think they're going to win the game by 3. Who knows? They could win. They could win by more. I don't know. I mean, but that's just my opinion. But I think they're going to win the game. As much as I hate to admit it, it is what it is. I said that last week, and I'm not going to flip flop. That's not what I do. I that's just from what I've seen of the Eagles and from what I've seen of the Chiefs. I don't know that the Chiefs defense can stop that running game. I just don't know that they can. I don't know that anybody can. That's why when you can run the football as effectively as the Eagles and play defense as effectively as the Eagles, it's very, very hard. I mean, if you remember like college football, all the top teams back in the day, they're like a throwback to the old college days. They run the ball, so they hog the ball for the whole for 3/4 of the game, and they have a great defense. So then you never get to see the ball. And Jalen Hurts is a good enough quarterback that when he needs to make a throw, he can make a throw. And they can beat you deep because they've got good receivers. So that's basically what the deal is with them. They're tough. They're like their whole offensive and defensive line are like road graders. They're just really tough.
And the over-under is 51. I kind of like the over, but I think that's going to be tight. and I have a 42.
51?
So like I have the Eagles scoring a lot.
I think
I have an
it's gonna be
over.
more than
42-17 is an over.
Yeah, I think
What's your
30,
score
I
again?
think
What's your score
37-34
again?
Eagles.
30.
37-34.
You got an easy over too. And then
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot. I think
couple
there's going to be a
prop
lot of
bets that
points scored. Okay, so what are the odds of our boy from Rutgers scoring a touchdown on the Chiefs?
Probably like minus 75,000 or plus 75,000 because Andy Reid's never going to let him get in the end zone.
Yeah, really?
He's plus 115 to score a touchdown. Not a bet I like at all.
+1. That's it?
Yeah.
Are you saying $115 on a dollar bet or
No,
1.15 to 1?
So $15. If you bet $10, you win 15. Right?
Oh, that's a terrible bet.
No. $100 bet gets you $115. That's what I meant.
No, not good. No, not good enough. Not good enough. Kelsey's probably the same, right?
Kelsey's minus 125 to score a touchdown.
I mean, oh, you don't even get your.
So he's minus money.
So he's 4 to 5.
Him, Jalen Hurts, and Miles Sanders are minus money. But you can bet first touchdown, which gives you better odds, but they have to score the first touchdown of the whole game.
What about Devontae Smith?
Devontae Smith is plus 155 to score a touchdown.
That's not very high.
See, like I'm gonna do, like I'm looking at like the Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott range for the touchdown bets. Eagles defense, I think, is not a bad bet. Score a touchdown. You know, obviously, it's not an obvious pick like a Kelsey or a Hurts.
Yeah, but they're not paying anything.
I think Gainwell's having a big game. I think Gainwell's a really sneaky play to win the MVP here. So Hassan Reddick's 35 to 1 to win MVP. I'll be betting that. And Kenneth Gainwell is is 100 to 1 to win the MVP. Why not? Put $10
What
on
about
that.
what about as far as touchdowns are concerned? What about Dallas Goedert? I always like the tight ends in that situation.
So he's plus 150 to score a touchdown. He's 12 to 1 to score the first touchdown. I don't like that bet. I do like Dallas Goedert over his receiving yards.
How much is that?
Which is hold on, that's rushing 48.5. So I like Goddard over 48.5 yards.
What about Smith?
Smith 61.5, AJ Brown 72.5.
I like Smith. I think Smith could get that in one pass. But as I've said before to you, I think that Smith is better than AJ Brown. But that's just my opinion. I think he's more explosive.
It's not a bad take. You had a lot of shitty takes tonight, but that's not really one of them. I think I might agree with you.
I mean, you're saying 61 yards?
61.5 yards.
He's going to get more than that. He's going to get more than that.
So it sounds like you're a Devontae Smith MVP possible.
Yeah, I could see that. What's the odds on that?
Hold on, I just had it. Awards 25-1.
Okay, so here's how that can happen. The Chiefs load 8 guys in the box to stop the run, and they hit Devontae Smith with a couple of slants, and he breaks one open, and goes deep for like 75 yards on one. I could see that happening. Because Andy Reid will figure something out to try to keep the Eagles' running game under control. I have faith in him that he's a smart enough coach that he's going to figure something out. But Sirianni will make an adjustment because he's got more tricks up his sleeve, and he's not a one-trick pony like the Chiefs are, that they have to throw on every down. So they'll be lining up 8 guys. They'll be lining up 8 guys to try to stop that run, and I don't think anybody can really cut. And especially if Snead is not healthy, I mean, I think that's where Sirianni's going to attack. I think he's going to attack with the receivers, and I think Smith is such an explosive receiver. He could do it. I mean, it'd be worth it. It'd be worth like a $5 bet. He's 25-1 for $5. You win $125. Sure, why not?
Like Kenny, like I'm like all in on Kenny Gainwell in this game. I don't know why. It's just a 20.5 rushing.
That's not a that's not a bad play. The only
I wonder what
problem
it is. Rushing plus receiving, 35.5. Now let's see if that's worth it. It says receiving yards. Yeah, I guess. Rushing plus receiving. Yeah, I'm pretty much all in on Kenny Gainwell on this game. So I'm going to be placing a monster bet on the Eagles. Probably money line. Just unless I can get one. I'm just going to bet them to win. I don't want to worry about the spread and getting hooked and some bullshit or whatever. So I'm just going to take a money line. Firing a missile on that. I'm taking Reddick and Gainwell as MVP, and then I'm going to do a same game parlay with the Eagles over, the game over 51. Bob Brinkman, Eagles D. Eagles D is, I think it's 6-1 to score anytime. And 40-1 to score the first TD. So that's defense and special teams. Hold on, I just had it.
When the okay, so let me ask you a question because I can't remember.
6-1.
Sure. When Seattle played the Colts, when the Legion of Boom played the Colts at Giant Stadium, okay, didn't on the first play of the game, the snap go into the end zone and Seattle recovered the ball for a touchdown?
Yeah,
or was it a safety?
Snapped it over the head. There's safety.
It was a safety. Okay.
So that means.
So does that count as the defense score first, or?
No, it's a first touchdown bet.
Okay. All right.
These are first touchdown bets.
Okay.
So if you kick a bunch of field goals and get a bunch of safeties until the fourth quarter, and no one scores a touchdown until the fourth quarter, whoever scores in the fourth quarter, that's the first touchdown.
Right.
So you would win. Don 19. Besides Kelsey, who's the Chiefs' offense? I don't know. Like I said, it took us 5 minutes to talk about the Chiefs and where they have the advantages in the football game.
Is Schuster playing?
Then we talked. Juju, Scantling, Kadarius, Toney. They all stink.
Well, Schuster's pretty good. I mean, if he can play and he's healthy, he can still do something
Hardman's
positive.
not playing. He's out. He's not playing.
He's not that good anyway.
Like I said, it took us 5 minutes. It took us 5 minutes to talk about where the Chiefs are better than the Eagles. We talked for an hour and a half about where the Eagles are better. Offensive line, defensive line, secondary, receivers, overall playmakers.
Other than quarterback, that's really
Not
where the
much.
Chiefs. Well, they have an edge, but not. They don't have everybody. They don't have an edge overall in roster depth or roster. The Eagles, I think, do have a better roster. I would give that to you. I think that's pretty accurate. Now, real quick before we go, what do you think of that
Yeah, we gotta
trade
talk-
between? What do you think
the
that
trade
about
is
that
actually? I
trade?
read before we went on the air. I don't know what's going on with it. Like the trade's not official yet.
Yeah, but it's going to get done. Why does
'Cause-
Kyrie not want to go to Dallas? Is that
No, the Nets are being stinkers because they want Van Vliet from the Raptors.
and how's that going to
The
happen?
Nets, basically the Nets. First off, the trade's ridiculous because even though Kyrie's the biggest pain in the ass, maybe in the entire league, besides Ben Simmons, like he's still really good. And like
He is.
the Mavericks stole him. Like Spencer Dinwiddie, yeah, he's an okay player. Dorian Finney-Smith, he's an okay player. And 2 draft pick, 1 first-round pick, 1 second-round pick for Kyrie Irving. If Kyrie Irving doesn't go off his medic and whatever's going on with him,
Well,
if he's
he is
engaged in playing basketball, look, the Mavs might win the West with him and Luka. Like they stole him. So I think the Nets are like starting to realize that they didn't get enough at all. And they're trying to pull
How
in a
would they
third
get Fred
team.
How would they get Fred VanVleet though? What is?
I have no idea.
How is Toronto? I mean, Toronto is not involved in this trade unless they're trying to get him involved.
Why didn't the Nets take Chris Paul and Jay Crowder? Because Chris Paul's he's the most overrated player in NBA history. Like, get out of here, Chris Paul. Don't ever bring Chris Paul in my house.
I mean, I don't listen. Do I blame the Nets for getting rid of Kyrie Irving? No, Kyrie Irving is
He
kind of.
said he wasn't going to
asshole.
sign.
Yeah, he also, and then he started.
He
with
wasn't going to sign.
He also said he wasn't going to play. He was going to start. He's going to sit out the rest of the year. And he did. And he.
I
sat
mean, it's
out the
definitely
game
a
Sunday.
risk. I think it's definitely a risk for the Mavericks, but if this trade goes through as is, like you make that trade all day long if you're Dallas.
Oh, of course you do.
All day long.
No, that's what I'm saying. It just does this make Dallas the favorite
In the West?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? I mean, Curry's
I
out
think it
3
might.
weeks.
I think
Curry's
it
out
might.
3 weeks. Curry got hurt Saturday night. He's out 3 weeks. Memphis is pretty good. Memphis is really good, actually.
Would they be better than Dallas with those two guys, especially if he plays?
Yeah, because Memphis really only has the one star in Moran. I would have to say Dallas.
Yeah, I mean those two shooters. I mean, geez, that's they're going to be tough. They're going to be a tough out in the West.
And the Sixers just piss me off to no end. Every time I turn them on, it seems like I always want to put my foot through the TV. Still haven't seen anything. Still haven't seen a damn thing, Sixers fans, that tells me that this team's going to be different in the playoffs than any other year.
Their bench is bad, by the way.
They're going.
You still have a problem with your bench.
No, because they're going to go off the TD. First off, it was a total trap situation. Sunday night, weird ass game in Madison Square Garden on a Sunday night at 6.
Listen, the same. The Knicks were playing without Mitch Robinson, and they were playing without RJ Barrett.
But the Sixers were peeking ahead because they play Boston tomorrow in Boston.
Okay, and the Knicks had just lost a heartbreaker to the Clippers where they blew a big lead. And then the Sixers got off to a great start and had a big lead, and then they blew a big lead.
Right when I saw they were up 31-12, I said they're going to lose. They're blowing it. They're blowing it. Big time. Bad loss. Understand the loss, but like they're going to go out to Boston on Wednesday and they're going to lose. Like Joe wants to talk all this trash about he wants to be the best team and the number 1 seed. Guess what? You want to be the best team and you want to be the number one seed, you beat the Knicks last night. And Furkan Korkmaz is demanding a trade. The ball's on that guy. The guy fucking stinks and wants to call shots like he's Kobe Bryant. Wants to demand a trade. Excuse me? You're lucky we let you hand out the water and towels, cuz. Are you kidding me? You're demanding a trade if you're Furkan Korkmaz? So he's just going to go to some other team and just go off? Like, no, he's not.
No,
I can't defend me.
He'll
Look,
go.
This is what people don't understand about the NBA. Absolutely everyone has an offensive game. Absolutely everyone can get cooking. 90% of the league can go off for 20 points on any given night. 90% of the league. What separates the men from the boys, so to speak, is not everyone can defend consistently against an NBA offensive skill set. And Furkan Korkmaz can't do that. And I guess he thinks he's Kobe Bryant and he wants to demand to trade it. I don't know. Don likes the Nuggets in the West. I can't stand the Nuggets because I can't stand Joe. And I can't stand that people tell me that Joe's better or Joe isn't as good as the Joker. Makes me sick to even say. So even though the Sixers are going to be mutts and choke again in the playoffs, like Joel Embiid is still better than Nikola Jokic. And Joel Embiid is 1,000% the MVP of the NBA right now. Maybe they'll prove me wrong tomorrow and go up to the TD Garden and win a big game for once. I don't see it at all. I don't see it. What have you seen from the Sixers that tells you?
I don't know.
Why is this Sixers team different than all the other teams that have frustrated me and fell short?
I think they're still. I still think they have a problem with their bench. I don't think their bench is good enough right now.
Nothing's going to happen, though. I don't think they're getting anybody. I think they'll get a big.
I think they'll end up getting like a another 3-and-D player, whether it's a guard or a forward.
And everyone's so quick to toss Matisse Thybulle away. I don't understand that either. I understand he's not the 3-and-D guy we all hope, but he plays good defense. He's got good energy. He's a great bench player. You need guys like Matisse Thybulle.
You need role players is what you need.
I just pray that this moron, Daryl Morey the moron, doesn't do something stupid at the deadline, which I think he might. It's a shame because every time I'm like, oh, my God, the Sixers team's going to be different. And they go out and lose to the Knicks. Then they're going to go out and lose to Boston. And then they're going to be 4 or 5 games back. And it's a shame because they're not going to get the 1 seed, and they're going to have to play Milwaukee in the second round because Boston's going to get the 1 seed, and they're not going to get past Milwaukee. It was like, oh, what happened?
I thought that they play well against.
They're not good enough.
They seem to own Milwaukee. I mean, is it me?
I think Milwaukee beats the Sixers every time they damn near play them.
Oh, okay.
That used to be the case.
Seems like the Sixers
Flyers.
beat them a lot.
Sixers beat a lot of teams a lot, but never when it matters. It's the same.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
Different song, same dance, Brad.
It's like with the Heat last year.
And it's a shame, too.
I still don't understand how they lost to the Heat last year. That
because Joe got hurt. Shocker. Joe wasn't his best when we needed him to be at his best. Shocker. James Harden no-showed in the playoffs. Shocker.
Well, that's been going on for a long time. I mean, why should I expect it to be different this year? I don't know. I mean, listen, he's kind of a clown too, Harden.
The biggest.
Making that stupid comment about wanting to play in Houston. I mean, where does
No, that was internet. He didn't say that.
Oh,
Someone
okay.
reported it on the internet.
Oh, all right. So that didn't really happen.
No, he signed up for two more years here.
Okay. Well, then I don't know why. So, maybe he said he wouldn't mind finishing his career there.
Maybe
and somebody took that out of context.
Look, Brad, the Rockets are 13-40 right now.
He doesn't want to go there.
So they're not doing anything to attract a guy like James Harden.
No. And
he lives in Houston still, from what I understand.
So maybe he might want to. Maybe he might want to end his career there, but he's not going to do it now.
I mean, maybe they'll be good in a couple years. I don't know. Maybe. But it's a shame because they're going to – Brooklyn's kind of self-destructing like they always do. Boston and Milwaukee are good. I think Cleveland's really good in the East. So Cleveland's going to jump up into that 4 spot. And the top 4 is going to be Cleveland, Sixers, Milwaukee, Boston, in whatever order. And the Sixers will lose.
I think this gives the Knicks a chance to come in 6th. So I think without Kyrie,
because the Hawks can't figure it out. The Hawks can't figure it out, and
Brooklyn's going to go down the tubes now.
And the Heat, they're not. I think the Heat have a lot of players, but they're not winning any games. You got to win games at some point.
Yeah, they've been.
Didn't Barrett not play? Barrett didn't even play last night for the Knicks.
No, that's what I'm saying. Barrett didn't play, and
so you're down. You're down starter, right? You're down a starter.
2 starters, Rob. 2 starters, and they played the night
Robinson,
before.
You're down 2 starters. Everyone played for the Sixers.
We played the night before against the Clippers and blew a big lead and lost in overtime.
That's such a bad loss for the Sixers last night. Such a bad loss.
I mean, really,
you want to be the 1 seed. You want to be the 1 seed. You got to win that game. That's
you caught the Knicks at a time where you should have been able to spank them because they just, that was a terrible loss for them against the Clippers. I mean, there was no reason for that to happen. And then and obviously they're down from their balloon had already burst early in that game last night. And they get down by 21 points early. It is pretty surprising. I mean, Evan Fournier comes off the bench and scores 18 points or something like that when he hasn't played in 3 months.
He hit every 3 he took. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and he hasn't played in about.
That's what everyone does against the Sixers because they still haven't figured out perimeter defense. I scream about it every year, every game. Everyone. Sixers fan is amazing that Sixers fan can't recognize how inept this team is at defending the perimeter. They finally started to figure it out because they put Maxey on the bench. It's ridiculous. Everyone's like, well, I don't understand why all these marginal players like Evan Fournier always go off against our team because it's why I just said. If you don't play good perimeter defense, 90% of the league is lighting you up for 20. And the Sixers don't consistently play.
Yeah, the one thing Evan Fournier can do is shoot. I mean, he's always been a gunner. He can't play defense. That's why he's not.
The Sixers were so good that one year because Ben Simmons, this was pre-idiot Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler, where you're starting backcourt and nobody scored. And you had Joe defending the paint. Nobody scored.
I thought that was the team that should have won the championship.
They should have won. They were the best team that year. They lost.
Yeah.
That was the Kawhi Leonard shot game. But they should have won because they played the best perimeter defense. Not because they had the flashiest guys or the MVP of the league or anything like that. They played the best defense. And they just stand around and watch marginal guys like Fournier just light them up. And they lose games. It's ridiculous. And then Maury the Moron's going to make some stupid trade, and I'm going to lose my mind. It's a shame. I was this close to believing in the Sixers, that this year was going to be different. I bet him before.
Real quick before we go.
Go ahead.
Here's my question to you, and this is a Nick question for you. Is there anybody out there that they could get that could make a difference for this team this year? That's trade that obviously would be on the market, because my contention is there's nobody out there that's really worth them giving up a bunch of draft picks and trying to get.
Unless Portland's given up on Dame.
Yeah, but they already have a really good young point guard.
I mean Lillard's
Devin
kind of
Booker,
older now.
Devin Booker might not. I mean, Devin Booker's not going to get traded, is he? That seems to be the one that they all want.
Hurt. I think he's been hurt though. Like that's why the Suns are bad. Like he's coming back tonight or whenever the Suns' next game is. I think he's coming back.
So they're not going to trade him then.
I don't know. Like look at the Raptors. The Raptors are in. The Lakers are like desperate to make a trade to make LeBron happy. But like I wouldn't take on Russell Westbrook.
No, he makes too much money.
He has found a nice little home there at the 6-man spot. I don't know what the Lakers are going to do, but the Lakers can't do nothing and keep LeBron.
But you can't.
So they're going to do something.
The Knicks can't bring in Westbrook because Julius Randle hogs the ball all the time. What are you supposed to do? How the hell is that going to work?
You wouldn't be able to. You can't play them together.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't work.
You'd start Randle and you would make Westbrook your 6-man.
Yeah, I guess. I mean that would be the only way you could do it, and they probably would have to trade Fournier to balance the contracts, right? Because the NBA they don't let you salary.
You got to match the money.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I think I'd rather have Westbrook as my 6-man than have Fournier.
Well, Fournier doesn't play, Rob. He played last night because
Barrett was hurt.
Because two guys.
I don't know if you have to. I don't know if you have anything that would entice the Lakers to give you guys Russell Westbrook.
No, I don't think so. But Barrett, maybe. But I wouldn't. That would be a stupid.
No,
trade.
I wouldn't do that.
No. But I don't think that. I don't think. What I'm saying is, I don't think that he put the Knicks into a class where they could compete with the top teams in the NBA East. I don't think there's anybody out there that could do
Russell Westbrook.
That. Yeah, he couldn't.
No, the Knicks are going to have to draft. The Knicks are going to have to draft that guy.
Right. Unless somebody over the summer suddenly becomes disenchanted with their team. That
seems like a superstars in today's NBA. It seems like superstars are more likely to get moved in the summer than.
Right. That's what I think.
And then you only have 3 days. Like I don't know if you can get a Durant trade done in 3 days. If he's
also
freaks
hurt.
out, I would still trade for him. If he wanted out and demanded a trade.
Yeah, but what makes you listen? He turned down the Knicks already. When he and Irving were free agents, everybody thought that they were.
You asked if there was potentially those are the Dame and Durant would be my answers to you.
I mean, they could play Dame and
I think both of those are super unlikely.
Yeah, but I mean they Booker, could. But they could trade Dame. They could put Dame and Brunson out at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. All right, we got to get out of here. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy the NBA trade deadline. Keep it locked here on A2D Radio for all your news and notes regarding the Super Bowl and NBA trade deadline. Brad will be on the hockey show tomorrow, the Hockey Happy Hour with Daly, Povia. And what, Andy? Andy's on that, right?
Yeah, no. Hockey Happy Hour is me, Brian, Rob Povia, and Maddie.
Sorry, Maddie.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. Flyers line. I'm sure you'll be getting into that. All-Star game. Did you watch the All-Star game?
I did not watch 1 second. I did not watch 1 second of that All-Star game. After last year's fiasco, in Las Vegas, I am not watching this shit anymore until Gary Bettman quit. Until they get rid of Gary Bettman, I'm not watching any more All-Star games.
That's your boy, Bettman.
Yeah, well, he fruited it up. Sorry. I can't watch that All-Star game. It's ridiculous.
All right. He's Brad. I'm Rob. Peace out, everybody.